story is called The Three Spinners. Do you know what a spinner does?
Yeah.
What does a spinner do?
It goes round and
It does. It goes round and round. A spinning wheel goes round and round. Well, you see all the clothes that you have on you today, and you can walk into a shop along anywhere in town and buy the clothes that you want to wear. But there was a time you couldn't do that. There was a time when there were no shops to go into and buy clothes, and you had to go and have the clothes made for you. Well, this is a story about a spinner, and it was a very important job because that flax from the fields, after it had been soaked and made ready, had to be spun into the thread to make the cloth. And everybody in those times had a little house, and in their house they had some part of this job that they shared in. So some people spun the thread, some people had the looms to weave the cloth, and some people were the tailors that cut and made the clothes. This girl's job was to do the spinning. Oh, she didn't like the job at all. Oh, I don't want to be spinning, she said. I don't like spinning. I don't want to do the spinning. And the mother said, but daughter, I have to feed the chickens and milk the cows and make the butter and bake the bread and clean the house. I can't be doing the spinning as well. The spinning is your job and you have to take charge of your job and get to work. Well, whatever way the mother tried, and she tried to cajole her daughter, and she threatened her daughter, and all the means she had with her daughter, the daughter still wouldn't do the spinning. And on one particular day, she was giving out to her daughter because she wouldn't do the work she had to do, and the daughter began to cry. Now, who should happen to be going past the house at that very moment when the mother was giving out to the daughter and the daughter was crying, but the Queen herself? And the Queen stopped her carriage, and she rolled down the window, and she turned out and said to the mother, "Why is your daughter crying?" Now, no mother wants to tell the Queen that their daughter is a lazy person who won't do her work. And so the mother said, well, my daughter is crying because she loves spinning and I have no flax to give her. Ah, says the Queen, don't be crying for something like that. Sure, I've got loads of flax in my castle. You can come and do all the spinning you want. Was the girl happy to hear that? No, she wasn't, but she couldn't get out of this. She had to get into the carriage with the Queen, and the Queen brought her to the castle. Up through the rooms of the castle, they went through the corridors and the passageways until they came to a great big room that was filled with flax, and there in the centre of the room was a spinning wheel. And the Queen says to her, "There you are now, dear, look at that, loads of flax for you to spin. So you stay here now and spin away to your heart's content, and I'll talk to you in the morning. And you know what? If you can finish all of this, you can marry my son." And out went the Queen. Well, the girl looked at all the flax that had to be spun, and she looked at the spinning wheel, and she didn't know how to do the work or how to get the spinning wheel set up, and she started crying. Oh, she thought, I'd love to marry the prince. What girl wouldn't dream about marrying the prince? But I don't know how to do this spinning. The following day, the Queen came to see her again and see how she was getting on, and she was very surprised to find that none of the flax had been spun at all. Says the Queen, "How come you haven't started yet? All this work needs to be done. I do need this flax spun, you know, and I was letting you do it because you like doing it." And the girl said, "Well, I miss my mammy." "Oh, dear," said the Queen. "Well, there's a good daughter that misses her mother. Now, please get on with the work because I can get cross, you know, and when you have it all done, I will let you marry my son." And she left her to her work again. "Oh," said the girl, "I so want to marry the prince, but I don't know how to spin any of this flax. What am I going to do?" And she walked up and down the room crying. And this path that she took up and down the room went past the window. And as she walked up and down, she suddenly stopped and looked out the window. For there on the road beneath the window, she saw the strangest sight ever. Looking out the window, there were 3 women walking up the road. And not any 3 women that you'd normally see. These 3, one of them had a huge foot. She had one ordinary-sized foot and one huge foot. And the second woman had a lip that fell right down over her chin, a big, long lower lip that dragged under her chin. And the third woman had a huge, big thumb, one ordinary-sized hand and one hand with a huge thumb. And the girl was so surprised to see these 3 strange women, she stopped crying. The women walked up under her window and they looked up at her and they said, "What's wrong with you? What was all the crying for?" Oh, she said, "I want to marry the prince, but to marry the prince I have to do all this spinning and I don't know how to do it." "Spinning," said the 3 women. "Oh, we love spinning. Let us do the spinning for you." And so the girl brought the 3 women up into the room and they looked at the flax and they looked at the spinning wheel and they smiled. And very soon she found out why they looked so strange. The three women sat down to their work. The woman with the big foot had her foot on the pedal, up and down, and as she pushed the pedal up and down, the wheel on the spinning wheel went round and round and round. The second woman would take the flax, and the flax had to be wetted before it could be spun into thread, and she would wet the flax along her lip, along her lower lip, she would wet the flax as the pedal went up and down, and the wheel went round and round. And the third woman with the big thumb, as the flax came through, she would take it and twist it in her finger. Between her thumb and her finger, she would twist the thread and twist it so that it came out in a lovely, straight, even thread that could be wound up in the spool. And they worked away together, the three of them, as happy and as contented as could be, and in no time they'd finished all the work. Well, when the Queen came up the following day and saw that all the flax had been spun, and when she saw the fine quality of the thread, she was delighted. "We will have a wedding," she said. "Oh, this is great, we will have a wedding." And she went to make preparations for the wedding. Now, the girl, when the three women had finished their work, had said to them, "I don't know what I can give you." And they said, "Give us an invitation to the wedding." "Oh, how we would love to go to a wedding. We've never been to a wedding before. And sit at the big table, give us an invitation." And so, keeping her promise, the girl went up to the Queen and said, "Now that I'm to marry your son, could I please invite my three aunts to the wedding? Because they're very good to me and they'd love to be at the wedding." And the Queen said, "Of course you can. You can invite whoever you like, and I look forward to meeting them." Well, the preparations went ahead. A great big cake was baked. Food was all laid out. The musicians practiced the songs. The girl got a wonderful dress to wear for the wedding. And on the day, all was set. The people arrived for the service, and the meal was all laid out, a great big feast, and the musicians were playing. And the prince and the girl stood at the door to greet their guests as they came in, welcoming each of them along, when who came up with the three women? The strange-looking women, one with the huge big foot, one with the huge big thumb, and the third with the long lip. Well, the prince was very surprised when he saw them, but he remembered his manners and he said nothing. He welcomed them as the aunts of his bride and brought them in and showed them their seats at the main table. And so they sat. The three women were delighted. Oh, look at all the decorations that were in the room and the food that was on the table. Silver cups and plates and golden knives and forks. Oh, it was all magnificent. And then they watched the dancing. Oh, it was all wonderful. Well, the prince sat with them and he talked to them right through the meal. And he got on very well. They were three lovely women and he got very friendly with them. But by the end of the night, his curiosity had got the best of him and he had to ask. So he sat down with the three women and he said, "Excuse me now, I mean no offence, and if I cause any, I apologise. But why is it you look so strange? How come your foot is so big? And how come your lip is so long, drooping over your chin? And how come your thumb is so large?" And the women said, "Oh, it's because we love spinning. My foot is so big because I always have it on the pedal since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, up and down on the pedal to make the wheel go around. That's why my foot is so big. I just love spinning." "Oh," said the prince. And the second woman said, "Yep, I love the spinning, and I've been wetting the flax ever since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, bringing the flax across my lip and making it wet. That's why my lip is so long. I just love spinning." And the third woman said, "My thumb is so big because I've been twisting the thread, twisting, since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, twisting all the time. That's why my thumb is so big. I love the spinning." "Really?" said the prince. "So if somebody keeps spinning all the time, they could end up looking like you?" "Oh, yes, no problem. If you love spinning, no problem." Well, the prince turned and looked at his beautiful new bride and looked back at the three women. And he turned to his wife and he said, "Dear, I know you said you love spinning, but I think as a princess now in the kingdom, maybe it's a better idea that you give it up. Princesses shouldn't be spinning anymore." Was the girl upset to hear that? Not at all. She was delighted because whenever they needed spinning done, they called the three spinners, and the three women were only just more than happy to sit down and do whatever spinning was given to them. And they were friends for all of their life. And that is the story of the three spinners.